Hello friends, the 582nd day of the war between Russia and Ukraine continue. The Ukrainian Armed Forces continue a major attack in the direction of Tokmak in the Melitopol sector. Fighting is taking place in the east and southeast of Verbove, as well as in the west and south of Robotyne. But the situation there has not changed dramatically. The Russians have introduced reserves there for counterattacks. In general, the picture looks like this. Ukrainian troops attack in the direction of Novoprokopivka and make some progress, but they are prevented from developing their success by the lack of success on the flanks of the breakthrough in the Verbove area and west of Robotyne. Without this, it is difficult to advance further, since an attack from the flank with the threat of encirclement may follow. The American Institute for the Study of War reports the Ukrainian Armed Forces appear to have broken through the Russian defense line in the Robotyne-Verbove sector. In footage from the Zaporizhia direction, a drone strikes Ukrainian infantry in the trench near the village of Verbove. The geointelligence group of the Institute for the Study of War managed to identify the area, which is located about a kilometer west of Verbove. According to analysts, the use of the Russian drone there indicates that the Russians have been driven out of their trenches. The mayor of Melitopol, Fedorov, also writes that the Russians have lost control over part of their defensive structures in the Verbove area. The morning report of the General Staff today reports that the southern front Russians tried to regain a lost position near Robotyne in Melitopol sector and near Rivnopil in the Berdiansk sector. All these attempts are stated by the General Staff very unsuccessful. The Ukrainian Armed Forces of conducting assault operation in the same direction, but no specific results have been reported. At the same time, pro-Russian Syria Akamops experts claim that the Russians are advancing north of Priyutne in the Berdiansk sector. My friends, the robot will continue.
Ukrainian military officer Dmytro Klishchiivka voiced his opinion on what is hindering the advance of the Ukrainian armed forces during a counteroffensive and why Ukraine is suffering heavy losses. He says that for a year now they have been in positions on the front line. They saw how the Russians dug in day and night, using equipment, but there was no weapon to reach them. Although, in his estimation, they just needed ordinary mortars and a little more ammunition. For a year and a half of war, our state has not been able to produce sufficient quantities of mortars, mines, and gunpowder. We don't need space technology, give us ordinary mortars. One mortar costs 500,000 hryvnia. But we spend millions and billions on landscaping, borders, and construction of unnecessary things, and we can't produce primitive elementary weapons. The military man is perplexed. He believes that with a sufficient amount of ammunition and mortars, with little cover from howitzers and tanks, the Ukrainian armed forces would have slowly reached Berdiansk and would not have suffered such a huge number of losses in equipment and especially manpower. Meanwhile, the Western press continues to publish pessimistic articles. Who is moving forward in Ukraine? No one this year was the headline of an article in the New York Times. The publication notes that both sides launched ambitious offensives. Russia tried to capture the entire Donbass. Ukraine tried to split the Russian group in the south. But not a single offensive has gone according to plan. The front line has barely moved, and a breakthrough now seems more difficult than ever. Despite 9 months of bloody fighting, less than 500 square miles of territory has changed hands since the beginning of the year. A prolonged stalemate could weaken Western support for Ukraine, the American publication writes. In general, since the beginning of the year, Russia has conquered more territory in the east, 533 square kilometers, than Ukraine has liberated in the south, 230 square kilometers. The number of Russian forces on the battlefield is almost 3 times larger than that of Ukraine, and with a larger population capable of joining its ranks, Russia may view a long-term defense as serving its interests, the publication writes. At the same time, the protracted deadlock at the front creates risks of weakening support from the West. Russia is trying to wait until the West turns its back, said Marina Myron, a postdoctoral fellow in military studies at King's College London. There are regular encounter battles near Bakhmut. Yesterday, Russian telegram channels stated that the Ukrainian armed forces in one of the areas were able to break through the railway line near Klishchiivka, but were driven out of there. Now they write that the Russians themselves counterattacked in Klishchiivka. The result of these attacks is unknown. The morning report from the General Staff states that over the past 24 hours the Russians have unsuccessfully counterattacked in the areas of recently recaptured Klishchiivka and Andriivka on the southern flank and in the area of Hryhorivka on the northern flank. The head of the press service of the Eastern Group of Forces, Yevhenii, reported yesterday that the Ukrainian Armed Forces had success near the villages of Klishchiivka, Odradivka, and Shumi in the Bakhmut sector. At the same time, the General Staff did not report such information in its report. Meanwhile, the 24th Brigade of the Ukrainian Armed Forces fighting between Bakhmut and Gorliivka is set for a long war and does not believe in an easy breakthrough, writes the BBC. Expectations of what the Ukrainian military could achieve were perhaps higher in the Pentagon than among veterans of the 24th Brigade. An easy breakthrough is simply impossible. We are preparing for a long-term war, a fighter with the call sign Jimmy told us, the article says. One of the 24th Brigade's battalion commanders compared the current war to Vietnam, implying that it could last for many years. Russian military telegram channels continue to write that the Wagner PMC has been returned to the Bakhmut site. According to them, the formation of a consolidated detachment of former Wagner PMCs, which immediately after the mutiny left Prigozhin, led by the executive director of the Wagner PMC Trashev, has already been completed. True, it is not yet known how many PMCs we are talking about and how much they will be able to influence the course of events at the front. Theoretically, this could be thousands of soldiers. By the time of the mutiny, the number of the Wagner Group in Russia and in the occupied territories of Ukraine, according to the statements of the PMCs themselves, was 25,000 people. I would like to explain in more detail about the video with Sokolov, since many wrote in the comments that it was a fake. Yesterday, a new video emerged of the live commander of the Russian Black Sea Fleet, Sokolov, who, according to the Ukrainian Special Operations Forces, was killed during a missile attack on the fleet headquarters in Sevastopol. In the video, Sokolov says the fleet is successfully fulfilling the task set by the command. He does not comment on the attack on the headquarters. But it is noticeable that the military man, apparently, was not even wounded. The video was allegedly filmed yesterday during the award ceremony for the Chernomorets football team, which took a prize in the Russian Armed Forces Championship. A more detailed video from this award ceremony was later released. Moreover, the football championship itself, whose winners were awarded by Sokolov, ended on September 18th, that is, before the attack on the headquarters of the Black Sea Fleet. This immediately sparked theories that the video of the commander was old. The tournament took place in Smolensk, and immediately after its end the award ceremony for the winners took place. Russian television reported about it on September 20th. In those frames, this takes place in the same building where Sokolov was handing out awards in yesterday's video, which can be determined by the information stands in the background and by the display of medals. The premises are easily recognizable in Sevastopol. This is the House of Fleet Officers. But despite the similarities between the two videos, there are also differences. The commander of the Black Sea Fleet was not in the story of September 20th, although if he had been present there, he would definitely have been shown as the main character. And some details, for example, the different position of the table with medals, indicate that we are talking about two different ceremonies. That is, it is possible that the award ceremony for the football players was repeated yesterday with the participation of Sokolov in order to show the public that he is alive. Also today, a video of the meeting between Putin and Kadyrov appeared. In recent weeks, rumors about the illness or even death of the head of Chechnya have been actively spreading online. They were due to his swollen appearance. At the same time, Kadyrov himself periodically posted videos of his participation. Friends, considering what is happening in my country, this channel is now my only source of income. If you are able to support me financially, I will be very grateful. Thank you very much and see you in the next video.